away from what you had to offer today?
Well, in context, that first responders will be victims too. And when, as was the city of New Orleans, 3/4 of the city was underwater. Over half the police officers' homes were underwater, and the mayor's home was underwater. So to take into context, when we say worst case scenario, what happens when the first responders are victims of the event, and how they collaborate with their regional folks to get the help they need to help the people. And that was the case in New Orleans. As I said, over half the police department homes were underwater, to include the mayor's home. And when you're a victim and you're a leader, you respond different. That's what I observed during Hurricane Katrina.
Second question would be, what message would you have when we present this stuff? What message would you have to the general population as far as preparedness goes?
I think we need to create that culture of preparedness, and everyone needs to understand you need to be your own first responder. You need to be prepared to take care of your family. You need to have an evacuation plan. You need to have a safe plan in your home of where you're going to go, and then everybody in the family know where it is. And that evacuation kit, everybody has to know where it is. It will only work if families understand that your ultimate responsibility is to take care of your family, and you need to be prepared to be your own first responder. After you've taken care of yourself, you take care of your neighbors and your relatives, because government isn't good enough to do this. No government is good enough to do it.
Sir, did you mention there was a nuclear plant in
South Louisiana, near Houma, Louisiana.
So do you deal differently with that? That's what we have to deal with here with Bruce Power, and of course they're on top of the safety issue, but how do you deal with that?
They have a decision-making process they go through. When the government gives the severity of the storm and the projected surge, they go through a shutdown procedure. They go through their backup power system to ensure they have redundancy in being able to control that plant.
Is the job over in New Orleans? It's been a few years, but is it over?
No, I think they're still in the first half of the response. You know, it took over 200 years to build that city, and it'll take another 50 to 60 years for it to come back near to its glory prior to Katrina. But it's going to come back better, in many cases with new infrastructure, which Katrina exposed and destroyed, and with better school system, and with an increased focus on business development. So I think the city is coming back stronger.
You were the leader of making sure everything got done. Is there anything you would have changed looking back at it?
I think trying to get communications earlier to more people. I didn't have a full appreciation for what the police were going through when they couldn't talk to each other. Would go back and look at that first 24 hours and bring more communication capability in so they could talk to one another.
And you also you had some glowing things, I think, to say about the media as well, how important they are in a situation like this.
Absolutely. While I will say they will report information quickly, I think the media in their after-action report went back and looked that some of this stuff was reported quick-fire without going out and check it. But at the same time, the media was a key instrument in getting word to people who were not in the affected area, because the people in the affected area didn't have electricity. So who you were talking to was the outside world. What do you need? People who had evacuated, telling them what was going on, and they had relatives back there, where they might be and how they get home. So you cannot run this operation without the media. I mean, they're an important part of doing what they do from the perspective of telling you what they see and what they hear, but to also ask you those tough questions of, and sometimes reveal you things you don't know. The good thing you got to show as a leader is to have a good response to that, and tell them you're going to go look into it.
Okay.
And deal with them as a part of the team. But you cannot do what you need to do in a disaster without the media. It's impossible.
All right.